Hey everybody, welcome to Easy Soloing Strategies, class number 11. Let's get started. So guide tones. What are guide tones? Guide tones are the two most important notes of any chord, of any harmony. And in jazz, as you know, 6 chords and 7th chords, but primarily, for some reason, guide tones, the music school thing for me learning guide tones was all about thirds and sevenths. I've learned now after playing a lot of these swing tunes, the early swing tunes, that sixes can also be thought of as guide tones as well. But you'll definitely see thirds and sevenths because mainly of the resolutions, which we'll talk about. So I'm going to put on the screen the C blues study number 1 with guide tones. So one thing that's kind of required here is that you do know that you can spell your chords. And I know I'm often saying this, be able to spell a C7 chord, meaning C, E, G, B flat. And I do think that this is important, if not mandatory, to be able to spell any chord. Of course, the more you do it, the better and quicker that you get at it. But you see C7 on the chart, you know your C, E, G, B flat. You see F7, F, A, C, E flat. G minor 7, G, B flat, D, F. I just really encourage that you grab a piece of paper for any song that you're working on. We'll do this with Autumn Leaves. And just get used to spelling just right on top here. Like here, I could even do this. I can annotate on here. You know, you just go like this. Go C, E, G, B flat. And that's 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So of course, the theory behind it is, know your formulas for your 7th chords and your 2 6 chords, major 6 and minor 6. But your 7th chords, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, flat 5, aka half diminished 7, and then fully dimmed 7. Those are your main types of chords. You don't worry about altered chords or stuff like that so much. But just those ones, and be able to just spell every chord. So how do you do that? I think, again, now it goes back to your instrument to be able to go, C7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7. Again, the formula. Then I arpeggiate 1, 3, 5, 7. And then you might go C, E, G, and B flat. Okay, so again, that's kind of the academic side of it. The thing with these guide tones, as I mentioned, it's the 3rd and the 7th of the chord. So I know many of you, if not all of you, have mastered the grip chords, the routine. Well, these notes, now it's going to be important to know where those 3rds and 7ths are. So on a C blues, kind of a jazz blues here, using dominant chords for the 1 instead of a 6 chord, you can see right here, I actually labeled it. You have the flat 7 and the 3. Okay, if you want to play those 2 notes. You can play it as a chord. You could do this. It's great for comping. I'm just playing through this example. D minor 7, G7, C7, A7, D7, and then strictly following that route. I'm breaking them up obviously into single notes, but my visualization is this: 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So again, you'll notice one thing. I hope you notice that on the dominant chord, it creates the 3rd and the 7th. This is very important. It creates a tritone interval. This or this. That flat 5 distance between the 3rd and the 7th. No matter which way you go, whether you're going 3 to the flat 7 or flat 7 to the 3, it still equally divides up the chromatic scale in half. So it's a tritone interval, that dominant. That's why that dominant. So it's dissonant and it has this unresolved feeling. And that's why when we do these 2-5-1 sequences, the dominant usually will resolve to the 1, or it creates a dominant cycle, right? Though what I think is important to show you is a 3-note shape, C7. And so this will actually be really good for your comping. C7, F7. These are what I call 3-note voicings, and yes, I can definitely send this worksheet out for 3-note voicings, C7. So now you can hear the root in there. Earlier I didn't do the root, I just did this, the 2-note shapes, which I love for comping. If you guys know Grant Green, one of my favorite jazz guitar players, that's almost exclusively how he comped, was just 2-note shapes. He wouldn't use, unless it was a ballad, he wouldn't use 3 or 4-note shapes like a la Freddie Green or anything. He would just use 2-note shapes. So if this is new for you, again, apply this to comping, apply this to your favorite songs, this concept of guide tones. And don't worry, you'll get used to it because we're going to go through Autumn Leaves next, which is a great, if you don't already know this, it's a great study because you can get the experience of going 2-5-1 in a major key and 2-5-1 in a minor key. So again, here's what it looks like with 3-note shapes. C7, F7. This is a 12-bar blues in C, back to C7. And then I'm doing kind of something a little bit fancier, almost more bebop-y, a 2-5 going to the 4. So the 4 is F, so I'm going G minor 7, C7. And that gives it some forward motion, and then F7. And then for the F sharp dim, the F sharp dim is almost like a substitution for F7. It creates what they call an F7 flat 9. So here's F sharp. So all I did is put the F sharp in the bass just for this demonstration. From the F7, I'm just putting the bass in the F sharp. But these 2 notes still stayed the same from the F7. That's what's so cool about the diminished substitution, is that you can still think the 3rd and the flat 7. And then back to C7. So again, now I'm showing you the bass line, because oftentimes, luckily, if you're lucky enough, you can have a bass player walking in lines or playing the roots for you, and then you can focus on the 3rds and the 7ths. Or we'll talk about some 6s as well later. This oftentimes a bass player, the very first thing they do is play roots and 5th of the chord. The root 5th, root 5th. So again, the root and the 5th are the first 2 notes that we can omit in our chords. But the 3rds and 7ths really tell us the quality of the chord. And I always say quality is not how good or bad, but it's major, minor, or dominant. And that's important. So that's all we need. And for soloing, which is what you're expecting to learn today, some guide tone soloing ideas. I know it's new for you. But what I'm saying is these can also be just thought of as target tones. Okay? You don't have to just run up and down scales. You don't have to just run an arpeggio. You can just play a few notes. And I think that's what it's about to go. And then you can again have a very specific target. I know I was targeting either the 3rd or the 7th to the chord that I'm on. And of course, again, I'm not saying that's easy, but this is a good place to start. Sea Blues, Autumn Leaves, or again, if a song that you enjoy might be Out of Nowhere or Fly Me to the Moon. Just start to apply this to those songs. And and the other song I chose to demonstrate is All the Things You Are, beautiful jazz standard. And that one, the melody is all about the guide tones. So again, the 3rds and the 7ths. You don't need to necessarily have both of them present in your solo at the same time. I mean, you're not playing a chord, but you can target those. Okay, you can pick and choose which ones you want to hit to create a melody. And it just so happens, as I will demonstrate, and we'll do this together, Fly Me to the Moon, All the Things You Are, Autumn Leaves, those songs are all about the guide tones. Like the composer, I'm not sure if they thought about the term guide tones. That might be a little Berklee College of Music thing from the 70s. But again, they are thinking thirds, how important the thirds and the sevenths are to the harmony. What I would like to do, what I think is good to do, is just to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All I'm doing there is looking at my guide tone study, number 1, C blues, and following one of the lines. One of the lines meaning I'm staying on the 4th string in this case, just because I know how I wrote it out. Oh, by the way, for comping, often, especially for comping, often the 3rd and the 4th strings are the choice notes for guitar to comp that range. You can move it up to the 3rd and 2nd strings, but I wouldn't do it on the 6th and 5th or the 1st and 2nd strings. I would just, stick with this format for now and get really strong at it. So again, notice what I was doing here. We'll put on the backing track in a second. I'm just looking at the 4th string, and I'm following that little bit of a line here. I'll yell it out in tabs, okay? And again, even though I went through the whole spiel of, hey, learn to spell, which I think it's important, and we'll do that a little bit more, because later on I'm going to say we're going to start to extend the chord. I'll say, let's play a minor 7 arpeggio a la Wes on the 5th degree. Well, you got to know what the 5th degree is. So, again, learn to spell those chords. Just do it a lot. So check this out. This is C7. I'm playing the 4th string, which is the B flat, which is a flat 7. Here's a C. Okay, so you can hear that. Da-da-da-bum. Add your own rhythm. And then you're going to go half step below to the A, which is a 3rd of the F7. And this is where the fancy term called voice leading is a very musical concept. You want to have smooth, close voice leading. You want to have it often be pretty chromatic, half step away or a whole step. You want it nearby to have smooth voice leading. Guide tones will help you with creating smooth, melodic lines. So far we have this. I'll try not to talk this time. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. Little anticipation. Boom. I might even slide. Oh, check this out. See, that created chromatic G7, and then this creates a nice 3 frets chromatic there, and to the top. Dum, bum, ba da dum, bum. Da 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 down. F7, F sharp dim, same note. Da, 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 da. Here's that E minor 7, chromatic, chromatic, bum, bum, up 3 frets, minor 3rd, and to the top. Ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Maybe add a little more rhythm. We're going to do this with the backing track in a second. C7. Here's E minor 7 to A7. Do, 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 do. Ba-dum, ba-dum. And. Now I'm on the 3rd string. Chromatic. You'll see these nice chromatic lines. And then back to C7. 12th fret. That was a whole step. G7. And then that's a turnaround in top. Again. G minor. F7. Back to C7. E minor 7. D minor 7. It's the same note for that. And then da-dum. Those are all anticipated. Maybe and now I'm breaking. You can break it up. I'm using 2 fingers. Now I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth just within that, not really including or not really adding any other scale tone ideas or chord tones. I was just kind of exclusively playing these guide tones, okay, with rhythm. I was doing a lot of anticipation, and what that means again is that I'm on the and, usually the and of, if I'm switching, say G minor 7 to C7, I would switch an 8th note early. So it's 1, 2, and then in the and of 4. So you want to anticipate again by an 8th note generally. That's the most common. You can anticipate a quarter note. You can even be on beat 4 if you wanted to, but generally it's an 8th note. Again, this is perfect for comping if this guide tone is new for you. I often call these 2-note shapes. You have 4-note shapes, you have 3-note shapes, you have 2-note shapes. And if you do 2-note shapes, John Pizzarelli is one of the guitar players who uses this quite a bit. You don't need those roots in there. So again, if this is new for you, you're really gonna hopefully enjoy this process of working and adding this into your playing for comping and for single notes. Double check. And I want to do exactly what we just did. Then I'll just show you some things, how you can add some other chord tones to the mix and or just neighbor notes, scale tones, embellishments, I often call them when I'm talking about triads. Add some rhythm. Ba-dum, sing what you play. Ba-bum, bum, bum, ba-dum. Bum, bum, ba-bum. A7, D7, G7, stay on that string. Bum, bum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da, bum, 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 ba-dum. Very economical, huh? You'll see a lot of common tones between chords. Here's E minor 7. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum. That's all chromatic. Again, I'll let you guys do it without me. F7, F sharp then, which is the same note, back to the C7, and then E minor 7. Da, da, da. Quarter notes. Bum, bum, bum. Let's go to the next string. Da, da, ba, da. Bum, 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 bum. I added a chromatic. And again. Now I'm breaking it up. Chromatic. Da da ba da da dum ba dum ba da bum bum ba da dum ba da 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 da. comp. Maybe just that's a Charleston rhythm. This is very important to getting this down, just comping with these 2-note shapes, the guide tones. And I'm staying exclusively on the 3rd and 4th strings. Da da ba da ba da ba, and 2 3, and here's a 2 5. And then single notes. And all I'm doing now is actually, for soloing, I'm actually moving it to the 3rd and the 2nd strings. So this is C7 here. The 3 note, the guide tones are here. Just so that you know, I mean, again, that's the same as just playing over here. You just have to, use your ear and find it there. But I do recommend that. I mean, obviously it's not written there, but that would be the next step, is to move it around through the fretboard. And the other thing was, I said add some chromatics. Hopefully you caught some of those ideas. The dim. So again, like right there from that C7 to the E minor, you see on the 3rd string it goes 9 to the 12. Hey, put a little chromatic note. Da 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 dum. Da dum. And then it goes from the 12 to the 10, G to the F, from the A7 to the D minor. Put a chromatic note in between. 12, 11, 10. You know what I'm saying? So again, things like that. I went C7. And then right here. So there I kind of went, I had a motif. Like 4 3. So again, feel free to add some surrounding notes. I call them neighbor tones, lower neighbor, upper neighbor tones. But really, this study at first, I think it's great to stay within what's written, just guide tones, just targeting those and getting used to that. So I do want to go to Autumn Leaves next. We're just going to kind of apply this to a few tunes. But it's one of those songs that I really do think everyone should spend a lot of time on.